Hey everyone, Kris Wilder. I want to tell you about our sponsor, Kensho. Kensho, they make gis, they make pads, they make mouth guards, they make weapons. It's all good stuff. Like we said earlier, I wear their gis, Lawrence wears their gis, heck, I use their weapons. And when you call Kensho or you email Kensho, you're going to get Mike. Mike's the owner. He's the guy who takes this thing from soup to nuts, from A to B. He follows it all the way through. Listen, Mike's a good guy. Products are good stuff. I endorse him. I think you're going to like it. Give him a call. Go over to the MarshallSecrets.com website and click on the Kensho logo in the right-hand column. Check it out. Take a look at it. Talk to Mike before you purchase, or just talk to Mike. Hey, like I said, he's a good guy. On with the show. Hey, welcome to Marshall Secrets.
I'm Lawrence Kane.
And I'm Kris Wilder, and thanks for tuning in and listening to our podcast again. In an effort to try to make the best podcast we can for you, we've been making some changes over time. We've made a few adjustments and per some recommendations. And if you have any suggestions about what you'd like to hear us talk about, or even a guest, maybe if you'd like to have a guest on our show, that's a possibility as well. Or if you have suggestions about formats, we're always willing, able, and we want to listen to what you have to say. So how would they reach you, Lawrence, if they wanted to complain to you?
Complaining to me, lakane@ix.netcom.com, or if you can't remember that, go on Amazon, search any of my books, pop through to the author page, and there's a link to my email address from there.
And you can always reach me, Kris Wilder, at the westseattlekarate.com website. That's just westseattlekarate.com. You can go into the contact section. You can find me there and email me right through there. But on today's show, we're going to talk about what?
No, not again.
Hard living takes its toll.
Everybody knows your name.
Yes, they do, Norm. And what you reading. Let me talk about no, not again.
Is this another rant?
This is a rant, okay? With the advent of YouTube, I mean, you can go on, you can take a look at any kind of martial arts stuff you want to look at, and
especially bad martial arts.
There's a lot of bad stuff out there. But there's
a little good stuff too.
Yeah. And it's earnest and all of those kinds of things. But I am going to tell you that if I ever turn on another YouTube clip and it begins with the flute, and shows a cherry blossom tree, I'm going to take this pencil.
Kind of the drums too.
Yeah, the taiko drums. I am going to take this pencil I'm holding in my hand, and I am going to start punching people. I'm going to get stabby. People are going to get hurt. I have just had it. That is so played out. It's just.
What's even worse when it's some white guy like us, and not even somebody who's at least halfway looks Japanese, right? Doing this traditional, scenic Japanese music, cherry blossoms falling, I mean, it's hokey.
And it's as original as a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. That's the deal there. So there's my fevered rant. Please, if you're out there and you're considering to put something up on YouTube and you're going with cherry blossoms, a still pond, a flute, a taiko drum, please, just
be original.
Stop. Take your finger off of the mouse, back up, go get yourself something to drink, come back later, make something that's a little bit more original. Please, I beg of you. Hey, Lawrence, we're talking about training tips, and this one's called Hard Living Takes Its Toll. And it does. It really does. I mean, you cannot abuse yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing. A friend of mine, he was testing for his black belt in Hapkido, and his instructor said, you got to stop smoking. I don't care if you pass the test. If you keep smoking, I'm not giving you your belt. And he was complaining to me. He was pretty upset about it. And this was, I don't know, maybe 15, 18 years ago. So smoking wasn't quite as taboo as it is now. But I looked at him and said, if you're really going to be a good martial artist, don't you need to be able to have, energy, have everything working properly, have some wind and all that? And isn't not smoking probably a good thing? He went, well, yeah, but I don't want someone telling me what I can do. It's like, well, he's telling you how to learn the art, isn't he? Well, yeah. He's teaching the techniques and responsibility of when and how to use them, right? Yeah. Well, maybe he just cares about your health. Like, oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that, because I've known some just wicked martial artists that smoked, and of course they were Japanese,
or Okinawan, yeah.
yeah, excuse me, but the thing is that you just can't continue to abuse yourself. I mean,
not getting sleep, drinking, smoking, drugs. I mean,
that kind of stuff, you can get away with it when you're 21. You wake up in the morning and you say, I am never drinking again. And then about 3:30 in the afternoon, somebody says, hey, what do you think? Okay, maybe, yeah, okay. But you can't, you just can't continue with that. And some people are really gifted physically, and they can do that, but they can't
do it for longer.
Yeah, they can do it for longer, but they can't do it forever because there's like a switch that flips, and then bam, the wheels come off. Herschel Walker, who was played for the University of Georgia, and also I think he was the Heisman Trophy winner too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
yeah, and then he went on and played in the USFL for the Generals, and then went on and played in the NFL too. He's now in mixed martial arts at 48 years of age. I mean, the guy is a genetic specimen, but he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, and he takes care of himself. He's got a 2% body fat, yeah. And he ran recently a 40, like they do at the
40-yard dash,
at the combines for the NFL, and he ran, I know it was 4.4, and I think it was 4.44.
That's
which is
amazing. I mean, world record's like what, 4.1?
I don't know, but if you're a skilled position player in the NFL and you're not coming in under, or around 4.5, they're just not even going to look at you.
Yeah,
because you just don't have the wheels for it. Now, defensive tackle, that's a different.
Yeah, but
deal,
when you're, what do you say he was, 48?
He's 48.
Yeah, doing that when you're 25, yeah, I get it. Doing that when you're 48, that's impressive.
Now, even though he's a physical specimen, you think he could have pulled that off if he'd been, smoking and drinking and.
Oh, of course not.
I
mean, hey, there's a guy when I was in high school. He was the captain of the football team. Dayton the head cheerleader. I mean, this guy was just stud.
What an
muffin.
icon!
Yeah, it's not that uncommon, really. But I walk into this sports bar in Factoria, and this is 5-6 years ago, maybe. So, he'd be in his early 40s, I guess. And I'm going over there actually just watching TV a little bit while I'm waiting to meet somebody.
This is where you grew up, though, so he hasn't really gone very far.
Oh, no. I mean, Factoria is what? You can almost hit my high school with a golf ball from there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty close. So, hometown area. And so I'm over there and I'm just kind of watching TV, and I'm actually drinking some sparkling water, the fufu water.
And I'd like to point out, folks, that isn't what you always drink. You're known to have a beer and a good beer.
I am.
But I just want to establish the fact that you're not as pure and pristine as the story is presenting. But continue.
No, I'm not. But it was 4:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
It wasn't really, and I had a business meeting coming up in half an hour, so I wasn't going to be drinking until,
okay, fine. So you have a sense of responsibility and perspective.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I actually like, sparkling water sometimes. But anyway, although, did you ever notice that Evian is naive spelled backwards?
Actually, I did. I didn't notice that. I had it pointed out to me one time by somebody, and then it made me stop buying it because I didn't want to spend my money on something that was insulting me. But
there you go. But anyway, so I'm in there and I hear someone go, Larry. Well, it's like, well, nobody calls me Larry. They'll call me Lawrence, except people that I went to school with as a kid. So I'm looking around, and I don't recognize anybody. And this old guy comes up, right? And he looks like he's, mid-50s, maybe late 50s. He's probably a good 100 pounds overweight.
Wow, 100 pounds overweight. That's.
Just looks horrible, right? And he starts talking to me. I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. And through the conversation, I start to realize that this was the guy. This was the football player that I was in awe of. He didn't go to college. He got married, actually, to that cheerleader, got divorced, got married to someone else, got divorced again. He's a plumber. He drinks heavily. I mean, he was already tipsy, and it was 4 PM. And this is a weekday. I mean, this wasn't a weekend. I mean, he was a mess. You know, I'm looking at this guy going, wow, you know, I wanted to be you. And, you know, I make 3 times your salary. I'm in 5 times better shape. And you know, and you look 20 years older than your age.
He didn't honor his gift, did he?
No, not at all. It's scary. And, you know, I mean, the guy wasn't a martial artist, but it's the same thing. He was he's a sports star. I mean, our high school football team made it state, didn't win, but, you know, they got there. And they
impressive feat nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and they won the league championship. I think 3 of the 4 years I was there, if I'm right. It's been long enough. I could be getting that wrong.
Who was the mascot?
The Knights, actually.
Oh, the Knights.
Yeah. The Knigget. So, just to be Monty Python for a moment.
Don't open that can, because now we have to go and we have to do the whole movie. And we can't do that. Oh man. Well, you know, and I had the same experience too. And as you get older, you start running into people that have made less than favorable choices. And I'm not suggesting that everybody be some paragon of virtue in regard to, you know, whether they want to, you know, have a cigar or a cigarette or those kinds of things. I mean, you know, you can do these things, but
in moderation, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, there's going to be a price to pay. That's just the way that Newtonian physics work.
You know, it's if you really want to be good at martial arts, pretty much anything, you got to do stuff in moderation. I mean, you know, if you're getting hammered, you know, in the middle of the week at 4 o'clock in the afternoon regularly, chances are there's something wrong. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's right. I mean, there's something more deeply involved there than just maybe a series of bad choices. But anyway, that's the note. I guess what we're saying is that if you're gifted with a great physical ability, you should honor it and treat and shepherd that gift well. And if you're not, and you're still working at it, you know, bless you on that too. And also
be like Herschel Walker.
And be like Herschel Walker. Yeah, we all want to be like Herschel Walker.
At the dojo, everyone know your name.
Yeah, and this is, you know, it's a funny thing. I remember years ago watching Cheers on television, and I was watching it with this friend. I mean, it had to be, oh gosh, excuse me, that had to be like 20 some odd years ago. And we were watching the intro to it, and John looks over at me and he goes, you know, I wish I had a bar like that I could go to. And I said, well, what do you mean? You know, and he said, well, I wish I had a bar like that. It's like the song says, where everybody knows your name. And I was like, yeah, that is right. You know, that is a great thing to have everybody know your name. And I've applied that. Now, oddly enough, I've taken a sitcom.
I realize Dale Carnegie did say the same thing, but
well, you know. Okay, all right, yeah, but I guess Dale Carnegie doesn't reach me like a sitcom does. But and so in the dojo, I know every student's name. And there's no.
Considering how many students you have, that's actually pretty impressive, because I suck at names. I have to really try hard for that.
Hey, it's not easy. I work at it, man, but there's no hey buddies or, you know, hey big fella, get over here, that kind of stuff. Now I might call somebody by their nickname or something like that, or call them a scallywag or something.
Well, that's when you're joking.
Yeah, I'm joking around, but I make it really clear that I know their names.
So what do you do, you know, especially people like me, right? I've never been really good at remembering names. What do you do is there some trick you use to try to make it easier to remember people? And also, what do you do if you forget?
Okay, 2 things. I almost address every student by name when they come in the dojo. Hey, Peter, how are you? Good to see you, Danielle. You know, and I call them by name so that I get it integrated. Now, when I've got a new student, I'll actually go. I've got you know, mirrors along the wall in the dojo there, and I write on them with marker pens. And I'll actually go over there, and there's a little section just kind of out of the way, and I'll actually write their name. I'll say, come on over here. Oh, it's Javier? Okay. All right. And Juliana. Okay, great. And I'll write that up there. And when I write it up, excuse me, I write it up there on the mirror, and they know that I'm doing it. I mean, because they're right there. And I'll say, I want to remember your name.
Well, that's slick. Plus, you're also, you're combining hearing it and doing the physical activity helps you to remember it more. That's cool. I like that.
And I'm able to point to that and look at it, and they know that I'm making an effort. Now, if I forget their name, I'll walk right up and I'll put my hand on their shoulder and I'll bend, especially like as a kid, or I'll just walk up. I'll put my hand on their shoulder and I'll say, "Excuse me, I can tell you everything about your punching and kicking, but your name has fallen out of my head. Please say it again. I'm so embarrassed."
Oh, that's cool.
And they'll go, "Oh, it's Antonio." It's like, okay, great. And I won't.
That actually kind of takes guts, though, as the head instructor. You're admitting you've just made an error, or you're not perfect, and so it takes a little guts to do that.
What?
But no, that's cool. It's a classy way to do it.
Well, it's just I want to remember their name, and I'm asking them to join me in that. But I'll tell you what the really hard thing is that as the adults come in, it's like, okay, great. There's Antoinette, there's Tony, there's da 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 da. It's really kind of easy. But when you've got a kid, then you got two more names to remember. You got the parents.
Yeah.
And it's not always the same parent. And if and this will happen. I'll have, say, like the mom brings, Peter all the time, and then one day she's got a doctor's appointment or something, and the dad will do it, and I'll walk right up, and it's go, "Oh, you must be Peter's dad. Hi," and I'll meet him. But sometimes I see people, like the other day, this guy comes in and he's standing outside and he's looking in the window at this class. Well, that class finishes and all of those people leave, and then the new class is coming in, and he comes in with the new class. But I don't see him having any kind of conversation with anybody. And it's like, okay. Yeah, so I walk over and I go, "Hi, my name's Kris. I'm the instructor here at West Seattle Karate Academy. How can I help you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm here to watch my grandson." "Oh, who's your, okay, now I know. Who's your grandson?" "It's David." "Oh yeah, David. Well, they're not here yet." He goes, "Yeah, I know. I got here a little early." And we chat, But I make sure that, man, when it comes to an adult, if I'm running a kids class, I know those names, and it's really tough because you've got three, and it's not.
Well, it's a lot more, but that's an important point though, because you don't want one of the kids going off with somebody else by accident or that sort of thing, right? So that's kind of a there's a responsibility there. Plus, fact, it's good relationship. I mean, you've got several parents who started taking martial arts with their kids. And I mean, at least one of them I know actually made it to black belt. So I mean,
yeah.
By developing that relationship with the parents as well as the kids, it actually benefits you from a business perspective too.
Well, yeah, but it's to get back to the to the primary point of this is that you gotta know names, and it's okay. It's okay to say, "Excuse me, I have forgotten your name." And one kid, I deliberately mess his name up. His name's Miguel. I call him Mario. I call him Michael. I call him all these kinds of things. And it's kind of turned into a little game between the two of us. But I always, at the end of class, I always make sure that I have called him by his proper name so that he knows that I know it. It's a fun little game. He's a unique kid. He's kind of fun, and he sees the world in a different perspective. So he gets a kick out of that. But at the end of the day, man, you've got to know the names. If you're not knowing the names, you're not really meeting people at the personal level, which is what martial arts is. It is not wholesale. It is retail, and it is about knowing these people because they're going to be with you for a long time.
Yeah, well, they are, and you really want to know the character of the folks, right? It's not just caring about people and having relationships with them. It's also you're teaching people stuff that they could misuse in a way that's really bad if they're not the right people, right? So, getting to know people, understanding their character a little bit, making sure they're using this stuff in an intelligent way is also important, and it really starts with knowing their name.
It's free space. Hey, kind of an interesting little thing here. I'm going to ask you a question, Lawrence. What are you reading today? What's on your nightstand? What are you reading?
Actually, it has nothing to do with martial arts. I just finished up. I do book reviews for Ford Magazine, Clarion Reviews. So sometimes I read stuff because I have to, and they're paying me for it. But I just finished that up, and the book I'm currently reading right now is called A Hard Day's Night.
About the Beatles?
K-N-I-G-H-T. No, not the night with the
Oh, it's
when darkness
Kniggets.
comes. It's Kniggets. That's
Kniggets,
right.
all
Get
right.
back to that thing. It's by Simon R. Green, and it's what they call Tales from the Night Side, which is this. It's kind of an alternate reality thing in the heart of London, where it's always 2 a.m. and pretty much it's all filled with monsters and mayhem, and it's a real kind of urban fantasy sort of thing. But it's funnier than anything. It's some of the if you like Monty Python, you'd love this stuff. It's the same kind of sense of humor and just a lot of entertainment, but nothing socially redeeming about it. It's just fun.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, so what you've got is you've got people fighting in at 2 a.m. in England. Is that?
Well, it's the night
Because it
side
just sounds
is
like the pubs got out.
well, yeah, but this place it's always 2 a.m. like forever.
I
it's
see.
where
Okay.
it's like where one of the themes they have in there is like when the gods, like the old gods of like Rome or Greece or whatever, when they weren't worshipped anymore, because they didn't want to die, they go to the night side and they hang out there along with these other monsters and creatures, and you can buy anything, you can sell anything, including your soul. I mean, one of those kind of it's just this irreverent, silly, kind of world where all kinds of weird magical mayhem kind of stuff happens. And the main character, his name's John Taylor, and his mom, and you don't find this out till several books in, so hopefully this won't
Now you're not
spoil
going to be
anything to
ruining
anybody.
this for people.
Well, I don't think it does. I don't think this is a spoiler, but it could be, so I'll give a spoiler alert. But his mom is Lilith, as in, from the Bible,
Yeah.
right? So, and so he has a...
It wasn't just a bunch of chicks in concert.
No.
Okay.
And he's got this one power in that he can find anything.
Is she the evil child taker in this one too?
Oh yeah, she's evil,
yeah.
and she has the. In fact, there's actually one of the books is the Lilith War, where she comes back and tries to kind of take over the world, sort of thing, and he ends up trying to stop her. But yeah, it's very reverent. This particular story, he gets a hold of Excalibur.
So it's kind of like Madonna when she tried to take over the world through media. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, except it's a little more hands-on, and lots of people die.
Okay, all right.
So what are you reading?
Actually, I'm reading this again, not martial arts. I'm reading actually a book called The Words of Saint Francis by Brother Meyer of the Order of the Friar Minors, and it's really an interesting book.
Order of the Friar Minor. It almost sounds like a cooking show.
OFM, yeah. Order of the Friars Minor. It was a gift, and I've never seen this book anywhere before. And it's beat up, it's well worn, it's stained, and it's got these. So
this is like a hardbound classic, been around a long time kind of book.
Yes,
oh, okay.
That sort of thing, and it has it's like Sun Tzu.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like on the issue of, and then Saint Francis talks about the specifics of this issue, and then it's like, what attributes should be considered for this, and it's like then he speaks about it, and it's all these things, and it's like reading Sun Tzu, except it's Saint Francis.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Well, that sounds a lot more serious than what I've been reading, but it actually sounds interesting.
I think one of the greatest things that I was ever told by somebody was read outside your industry, and we're both doing that.
Yeah.
You get a chance to gain perspective. Now, I'll tell you this: you've read handily more fiction books than I've ever read, because I think I've read 2.
Yeah, I can safely say I've read more fiction books than you have.
Yeah, and I read Sudden Dawn because he asked me to take a read.
Yeah, but that was a really good book.
It
I
is.
enjoyed that.
It is a good book. It is a good book. But
for those of you who don't know, it's martial arts fiction. Written by Goran Powell, and it's the story of Bodhi Amra, and forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. and it's really, really well done.
Yeah, it is. He's a good writer. It's a good story. It flows well. And like I said, I'm not much for fiction. And when he said, "Would you read this?" I say, "Yeah, I'll read it, but I'm gonna grit my teeth the entire way." And I didn't grit my teeth the entire way. I only gnashed them. But no, it was good. But I don't favor those things. But I do read outside my industry. Just before this book, I read a book on marketing and this whole new aspect of what's
That's
going
cool.
on in regard
Yeah,
to
so you have
marketing.
to. I read a ton for my real job. A lot of leadership kind of books and IT books and management and all these other things. And
Yeah,
so
I saw that book Kaizen, your leader management book or whatever
That's
it was.
right.
It's in your shop. It's got more sawdust piled on it than the mill I used to work at back home when I was
so
a
does
kid.
everything in my shop. I think the last time I vacuumed that place was 2 years ago. But don't tell my wife that. I'll get in trouble. There's a reason she doesn't go in there.
No, rightfully so.
But and I read a ton of martial arts books, especially when they're written by folks that I know or something that's recommended to me. But I do like the diversion of fiction simply because there's so much stuff going on. I've 2 full-time jobs almost. Writing, training, all this other stuff, and so every so often I just have to put fluff in my head a little bit to break things up. But certainly,
Well, if you want, I'll just shove a Snickers bar right in your skull right now.
You do hit me often enough. It this sort of knocks the cobwebs out. But it is, I kind of like reading the eclectic, broad range of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the recommendation is that we both enjoy the books that we're reading right now, but the biggest thing is read outside your industry, right?
Read outside your industry.
And listen, I'm going to be coming back later, so do it. Keep reading. Because we're gonna periodically check in and we're gonna see what we're reading and if we have any recommendations for the listeners out there too. And so on that note, how do we get a hold of you again?
L.A. Kane at ix.netcom.com or through YMA's author pages, yma.com, click on authors, or amazon.com author page, and there's links.
And you can always reach me at westseattlekarate.com. Just go to the contacts and you can email me through there. There's a lot of other ways, but that's the most efficient way to remember it. And on that note,
everyone be safe.
And be well. Thanks for listening.
Nice work.
Hi, this is Kris Wilder from Martial Secrets. Martial Secrets is free, but it's not costless. So tell your friends about Martial Secrets. Your good words are the best endorsement we can have. Also, if you like what you hear, buy one of our books, buy one of our DVDs. We think they're pretty good, and we think you'll find value in them too. As always, we appreciate you listening and your support. You can find us pretty quickly by just going to Amazon.com, typing in Lawrence Kane or Kris Wilder, and you can find all of our books and DVDs there. Thanks for listening, and be well.